What are your marks in Montreal? What it's like for you to be back here?
You know, it's funny because Montreal is one of those cities that when you first arrive to it, especially in the dead of winter, you're like, well, what the hell have I done? Because it's so cold, and it's a city that reveals itself slowly, you know, especially in winter, things are hidden behind closed doors. And then very quickly, it's somewhere that kind of found a place in my heart, because I think maybe it's also the fact that my father is American, but he grew up everywhere. I grew up partly in Paris. I speak French. I grew up, my whole family's in New York. So even just kind of like, you know, the mixture of the Francophone mixed with the kind of North America, that kind of thing, I instantly felt comfortable here. Mixing my two languages, walking into a shop, speaking both, you know, that just on a kind of like practical basis made me feel very at home. But then beyond that, I have to say it's the kind of the cultural thing about Montreal which makes it so fascinating to me. It is in Quebec, and mainly in Quebec, they're so adamant about establishing a sense of Quebecois culture, because Quebec refuses to be that kind of, you know, in the shadow of the United States, and neither will it be the kind of lesser cousin of French culture. And so therefore it provokes a lot of cultural excellence and a lot of experimentation, which I think we've seen, you know, from cinema now to theater to, you know, like Robert Lepage, one of my biggest heroes, and even in music. So I don't know, it's a kind of place which is, for a creative, is very, very, very welcoming. I came here to work with Nick Littlemore, who is one of the second half of Empire of the Sun. I started working here. I've been doing shows here for years. And then one of the biggest adventures I've ever launched myself into was the symphonic concert, which took 9 months of preparation. And it's you know, it's just been effortless to kind of like do things that push me out of my boundaries in Montreal. And I think that in Quebec in general, I'm always presented opportunities which are challenging, which are, and also the idea of like one genre not having to exist just in one place. That kind of open-mindedness and how things can kind of slide between genres here. It's much easier here, for example, than in other places around the world.